Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over the interesting thing I now realize has helped me edit so much faster and more accurately in Fortnite, and until a few days ago, I had never even realized it. Now, the thing I'm using isn't technically a Fortnite setting, but there is a change that you can make to your settings that's pretty much the equivalent of what I use. I know it sounds confusing, but don't worry because I'll explain it all in this video. But before we get into that, I just want to quickly shout out the giveaway I mentioned a few days ago. $250 of V-Bucks are being given away, first place gets a $100 V-Bucks card, and then 6 other people will each get a $25 card. It's super quick and easy to enter. Just go to the description, click on the giveaway link, follow the simple instructions, then you're good to go, and it ends on May 31st. Alright, so let me tell you the story of how I discovered the thing that was helping me do better in Fortnite without even realizing it. So over the past 2 to 3 months or so, I've been playing COD, Warzone, and Fortnite pretty much equally. I don't know how many of you guys care, but I'm actually like top 60 or 70 in the world for total kills on Warzone, and there's actually a bunch of hackers in front of me, so I would be even higher. Maybe some of you will think that's cool, I don't really know. So if you've played Warzone or even just watched it, you probably know that there are vehicles in the game that you can drive around. Now when I first started playing, whenever I tried to drive the vehicles, it wouldn't go max speed and I could never figure out why. But then one day I heard somebody else talking about the same issue on stream, and that's when I realized the problem was caused by me using trigger stops. I've used an Xbox Elite controller the past few years, and since trigger stops are built into the controller and by default set to on, I honestly don't think in like the last 3 years I ever messed with them. So when I discovered that, I turned the trigger stops off and didn't even think twice about it. I played my Warzone session and I no longer had issues with the vehicles, so everything was going great. But then the next day, or maybe later the same day, I don't remember exactly, I hopped on Fortnite and started playing. And when I started playing, my editing felt absolutely terrible. At first I thought, alright, maybe it's just because I've been playing a lot of Warzone recently, so I hopped into a creative editing course. At that point I was thinking, just grind this out for like 5 to 10 minutes straight, and then everything will be back to normal. So that's exactly what I did, but even after doing that, something still felt weird. I tried washing my hands, checking my sensitivity, restarting my game, and nothing seemed to fully fix the problem. Now if you've been paying attention, I'm sure you can guess how this story ends. A few hours later, I had one of those cartoon light bulb over my head moments where I realized that during the Fortnite session, I had been playing with trigger stops off the entire time. So that made me really curious. I thought, was it just a placebo, or does using trigger stops actually help as much as it seemed like it did? So I hit up some of the controller pros I'm friends with and basically asked them. And they gave me a little breakdown of why it's something that almost all of them use. The main benefit of trigger stops is that they limit the amount of distance that your trigger goes down, and therefore the game registers that you're pressing and releasing that trigger a little quicker. Now I can imagine this is helpful no matter how you edit, but it feels like it's absolutely game-changing if you use confirm edit on release like I do. Let me show you a little demonstration of what I mean by that. So let's use the super simple top 3 tile wall edit as our example here. That's obviously a pretty common edit that you probably make at least once or twice a game. So when I make this edit normally, I select the first square and then sort of flick my crosshair really quickly to the right. Once you do that edit or any edit enough times, you get the muscle memory to start the edit, flick it, and then release to confirm it all in one fluid motion. But what would happen to me all the time when I had trigger stops off is that when I try to do the edit, since it took slightly longer to push the button down, there was a delay with starting the edit and then confirming it. So what would happen is I would flick a fraction of a second too early and only end up selecting 2 out of the 3 squares. That isn't a valid edit in the game, so then when I confirm, nothing would happen and I have to do it again. Now that I think about it, maybe this is why a lot of people say that they dislike confirm edit on release because it feels so slow. When I played without trigger stops, everything with editing just felt so unresponsive and a good amount slower. I'm sure using the trigger stop only makes it a fraction of a second faster, but that can actually make a really noticeable difference if you're doing 2 to 3 edits in a row where speed is a huge priority. Now I'm sure at this point in the video, a lot of you guys are thinking, well, that's cool and all, but I don't have a controller with trigger stops, so how does this help me? To my knowledge, there's no external trigger stops that you can buy, at least not from a trustworthy source, and I definitely wouldn't recommend going out and buying a $150 scuff or Xbox Elite just for trigger stops. But about a month ago, I saw a post on Reddit by a guy named Revo, where he shared an interesting little change he made to his settings that helped him edit faster. Instead of using R2/RT to select squares while editing, which is what the vast majority of players do, he instead switched his select button to RB/R1. Now I know that may sound weird because I definitely thought the same thing at first, but next time you pick up your controller, compare how much quicker it is to press and release RB/R1 compared to RT/R2 if you don't have trigger stops. Pushing buttons is always faster than pushing a trigger, so I'd say that if you want the effect of trigger stops without actually having them, that's your best bet. It's funny because a few weeks back I made a video about the binds that pro controller players use, and one of those players named Notify, who's been killing it in competitive recently, used RB as his editing select button. At the time I was kinda like, that's weird, I wonder why he does that, but now I think we may have discovered the answer. Now I get it, for some people if you use RB/R1 as either confirm or reset edit, you'd basically have to overhaul your entire set of binds to do this, which probably isn't worth it. But let's say you use confirm edit on release and you don't use RB/R1 for anything with editing, then I see no reason to not use that for select instead of R2/RT. It may take like a day or two to get used to, but just think about this for a second. You press RB/R1 with the same finger as R2/RT, and the buttons are literally right next to each other. That's honestly the easiest bind switch that I could ever imagine. Now the downside here is that you don't get the other benefits of trigger stops that I haven't even mentioned yet. RT/R2 is obviously used for a lot of things in Fortnite, such as shooting and placing walls, so being able to click that button just a tad bit faster definitely isn't absolutely game changing, but it helps for sure. And if you don't just want to take my word for it, a few weeks ago Ino tweeted, "Trigger stops are alpha, I don't know how I wasn't using them before." And then in response to Spade saying that they feel weird, he said, "Bro, I thought the same thing, play on them for a couple of days, you'll feel god tier." So that's really all I gotta say about that. I hope this video opened a few people's eyes to the value of trigger stops, or even just using RB/R1 as your select edit button, because I sure wish I had known that from the beginning. Also, let me know with a comment down in the comment section below whether you use trigger stops or not when you play Fortnite. So now I'll leave you guys with the rest of this gameplay. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.
I have 154. The guy in the box close. Let's come on over here. In the boat. There's just one in the boat though. Alright, oh, fuck. go. Where's the other one? Oh, okay.